It's stressful, debilitating, frustrating, nonsensical. That every 12 months or 6 months, participants and their families have to prove that they're still disabled. Amputees must still prove they're missing a limb. But the people who are blind have got to prove they still can't see. The people who have Down syndrome, but they still have Down syndrome. Instead of causing grief and wasting resources, let's think long term. Why not have multi-year plans, more flexible and sustainable, freeing up time to produce better plans that deliver better outcomes to people with disability, ridding us of the perverse incentive that the only thing that matters in the NDIS is the plan, getting it, keeping it and renewing it. To deliver the outcomes that will change the lives of more Australians with disability and secure the sustainability of the scheme, we need to deliver systemic reform. And let me be clear, I mean systemic reform of the whole disability support ecosystem, the NDIS, mainstream and community services. When I talk about rebooting disability services, that's what I'm talking about, systemic reform. Let me quickly detail the fundamental systemic flaw identified to me by participants. The system is too rigid. It throws up Kafkaesque barriers to access. It lacks empathy. It gouges on prices. It's way too complex, and it's traumatising for people to deal with. People with disability have often felt caught between some predatory providers and a historically impersonal government agency. We've got to improve the participant experience. After the bitter disappointment of the 2019 election, I came to the understanding the universe does not grant reruns. But with every precious minute in the job as NDIS Minister, I actually do feel like I have a remarkable second chance to return to where it started, to serve where my passion beats. I've said before, working with disability advocates, people with disability experts, with Julia Gillard and Jenny Mack, and literally thousands of Aussies living with disability, it has been a journey of discovery and of privilege. I know there is nothing I will ever do that is more important than securing the future of the NDIS.
We know what the government is going to spend money on. We know AUKUS is happening. We know stage 3 tax cuts are still in. But why is it the vulnerable who always seem to have to wait for answers? HECS-DEX is indexed at a rate that is causing massive financial and emotional pain for young people. Your 6-step plan to reform the NDIS is going to take time. We've had no word on whether welfare will become livable. So why do the vulnerable have to wait, even under your government?
In the NDIS, I want to be very clear. The scheme is going to go up. We're going to spend more next year than we did this year, and we'll spend more the year after, and so on. So I don't want to scare people with disability. You're making a political point about other things, which is fair enough, about the dole and that, and that's fair enough. But I don't want that concern to leach into what we're doing in the NDIS. The NDIS isn't paying for subs, as Peter Dutton suggested we should, and it isn't responsible for other areas of government welfare programs. You use the word welfare about the NDIS. I don't use the word welfare about the NDIS. The NDIS is based upon a universal assumption. It's not means tested. It's based on the assumption that if you have a permanent and significant severe disability, that you can get an individualised package of support which lets you to lead a more fulfilling life. This is not welfare. It's support, absolutely, but it's based on and there's nothing wrong with welfare, but this is not a welfare program. To me, I put this in with Medicare. It's part of the safety net of Australia, which says that we want all Australians to share equally in the opportunities of this country.